Hey everyone, Natalie Pigeon here at BoomTown Peer Coaching, and today for one of the Coaches Corner, I'm actually going to talk about one of my favorite new features that rolled out this year, and that is Smart Drip by Source. Now, the reason that I love this feature so much is because I really do believe that different messaging needs to happen based on the lead source and how that lead is coming to you. Also, the lead sources are very different in where they are in the sales funnel typically. And so there is very different messaging that should happen based on a lead lower in the funnel, such as your Zillow and your Realtor.com leads, versus maybe your Facebook feed, one of your Facebook leads that are typically towards the top of the funnel. And so they take a little longer to convert, and they're maybe not as they're not as willing to share all their information with you because they just started browsing, and you don't really want to be too aggressive with them. So I am actually going to show you guys, and I can go really deep on this topic because it's one of my favorite topics. I take a lot of pride in the smart trips I write. And so I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share my screen here and show you an article BoomTown wrote in the knowledge base that basically walks step by step through on how to set this up. Of course, I'm going to show you that today as well. But I want to cover something. So when we actually set this up, something to note, if you're starting two different drips on new, and one says any source and one has the selected sources, for example, let's say one of these three sources here is Zillow, that's going to trigger this qualified drip. And then let's say a direct lead comes in and it's not one of those three sources selected, then the default drip is going to start. So that's something really important that I cover because it can be confusing if you don't know the hierarchy. Now for this, I am actually just going to share you all a system that I worked on with one of my coaching clients that we really went to town on Smart Drip by Source. Not all teams need every single source on a particular smart drip, but there are reasons why it would be really beneficial. So I'm just going to show you guys this to give you some inspiration. So scroll down for Zillow. So if you are receiving Zillow and Realtor.com leads, you need to stop right now and you need to make sure that you have a text set up to go out when a new lead comes into the system, especially if your agents are not 100% on picking up those calls. For example, Zillow, I know that when the broadcast call goes out, a lot of times an agent does pick it up. And so just a disclaimer here, it's wise to write this first drip, and I have one text for this, to come from the team rather than the agent. And it just basically says something along the lines of, we received your inquiry on Zillow, and we will be in touch with you to find out more about your specific real estate needs. Somebody will be calling you shortly. Signed from the team, the team. So what this does is if somebody doesn't happen to pick that live call up, then at least this message will go out, letting that lead know somebody will be calling them back. So that's Zillow, and we auto start drip in new, and then auto move in qualify. So if the lead doesn't respond back, it's automatically going to move to qualify, and then we have a qualified drip that's going to auto start. Now, how to set this up is you actually use the gear icon here. If you want everybody in your organization to have the same auto starts for the category, you can actually use these drop downs and then select the source here. But if maybe there's some people you don't want this on for, that's where you can do select the category individually and then the source individually. And let's say you want to remove a source from this auto start by source. You just press the drop down and then scroll all the way down, and then you click the little X if you want to get rid of a source. So that's basically how you set it up. Now I want to show you, just give you guys a quick glimpse of some inspiration of different sources I set this up for. So you may have sign calls coming to you, and I've actually created like a 4-step text drip to try to qualify those incoming leads and get their email address. That's basically my goal for call-ins here, is to try to get the email address from the lead and actually set them up on an alert. So I have that. There's also, in this case, there's another website that they also have, and those leads are being parsed into BoomTown. And because the lead was on a different site, we wrote a different qualified drip that has a little bit more call to action links in, and making sure that we are communicating clearly with the lead that the best search tool is their BoomTown website rather than the other website. And so that's why we created a qualified drip. For that lead type, of course, here's Realtor.com. If you get home light leads, seller leads, that's more like a home evaluation seller drip that we created for that source. Buyer close drip. So if in this we don't have any sources selected, but I actually would recommend any online leads selected here for a buyer close drip to go out. I have a few clients that do that. I also actually have a few clients that have a drip to auto start and pending that asks for a review. So that's a great idea for certain sources, especially like your referral, the people that already know, love, and trust you. That's a great auto start to trigger impending. And then we actually wrote a separate archive drip for Zillow and Realtor.com leads. Watch leads, again, we selected a lot of the online or the paid lead sources here, so that if a friend gets put into watch, they don't necessarily need a watch drip because they're your friend and you're communicating with them all the time. So that's kind of what we did there. The nurture drip that we use, again, same type of concept, more for the online leads, so that if a referral or a friend or family gets placed in nurture, they don't necessarily get the same drip that the online leads or the paid leads do. And then this is like your general qualified drip. So if you get Google, Direct, Bing, basically BoomTown paid ad, anything else that's other than the sources that I just talked about below, the default drip is going to start. So I know this was really high level information, and I can go in a lot more detail on this and why we've chosen to write some of these different drips for different sources. But I just wanted to shoot this video for you guys for the BoomTown Coaches Corner. I think that's what it's called, because there's huge opportunity here and you guys need to take advantage of it. Again, my name is Natalie Pigeon. I'm one of the BoomTown peer coaches. If you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to reach out. Here to serve you guys. Hope this helps. Bye-bye.